How is your relationship with work? Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. HP has a new survey out that takes a look at our relationships with work. And joining us is HP GM and Global Head of Commercial Systems, Andy Rhodes. Hi, Andy.
Hi.
Great to see you. And this is called the Work Relationship Index. And the headline is Expectations of Work Have Changed. Where and how work happens. Give us an overview here.
Yeah, sure. Number one, great to be with you, and thanks for the opportunity. I think if you think about it, we've gone through, crazy time with COVID, and there's a huge amount of conversation around hybrid work, and it's very centered around where people work. We wanted to explore, much more about not just where, but how, and this relationship between employees and their companies. And so that's why we've come up with this work relationship index, is to really go off and figure out what is the more broad and holistic view of how people feel about their work, their life, the companies they work for, and how they just feel about the whole thing. And it's really interesting because some of the findings show that the actual relationship they have, the happiness index, is actually relatively low. And there's a huge correlation between how happy people are at work and how productive they are and how long they're going to stay in a company, and therefore, the cost and the productivity of that organization.
Well, I think the figure that you found was like 27% of knowledge workers have a healthy relationship with work. That's pretty low.
It is. Well, it's very low. And then the other thing to really think about is actually the leaders in those organizations actually perceive their employees to be way happier. So there's also a big gap between employees and how happy they are telling us they are, and their leaders who think that they are way, way more happy. So there is this big disconnect. And I'm a great believer that sometimes you need to understand that you have a problem first before you go fix that problem. So one of the things that this index really exposes to, a lot of different companies and leaders in those companies is there is a problem in the world of this disconnect between the happiness of people and what people think their employees are.
And I think you found it often can't be solved with more money. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's another interesting fact is what the index says is there's really 6 major areas that employees are telling us drives the healthy relationship with them and their work environments. And one of those is fulfillment. Are they fulfilled in their job? Do they have the right purpose? Do they feel the company they work for has purpose in the community and the world that they live in? And is their role within that also meaningful? The second that we found was that the way that leaders behave, business leaders behave, creating this emotional link between employees and their managers is also very related to how happy they are at work, which, is probably self-evident, but comes out as a very, very high indicator. And that's also with the people centricity of the company. Do we treat people with respect? Do they feel part of the organization, the community? Do they have flexibility, autonomy? Do they have work-life balance? That is incredibly important. Another is, are companies teaching their employees new skills to be successful in the future? And so actually, happiness comes and says, hey, is my employer investing in me and my future by building modern skill sets, whether it's around AI or other things? Am I learning on the job? The fifth, and we've known this one for a while at HP, is the tools that you give them, especially technology. If people don't have the right technology today, they feel they cannot be successful in their jobs. And if they don't feel they're going to be successful, then again, they're not happy. And the last, and this is the one I think that many of us have been talking about over the last year and a half since COVID, is around the workspace itself. Can people be hybrid? Are they forced back into the office? Are they being told only to work from home? in each of those different environments, do they have the right ability to be heard, to be seen, to be able to contribute at their best? And so workspace, where people work, is also a huge indicator of the happiness index that they have.
And this can really take a toll. I think you found something like more than half, 55% of the employees struggle with their self-worth and mental health. 45% say relationships with friends and family have suffered, and almost 60% say they're too drained to pursue personal passions, I guess, after work.
Yeah, and that's if you when you say it like that, Fred, it's somewhat depressing because I think if you have a great relationship with your work and with your company, that should be the reverse. Modern companies that thrive are the ones that show this emotional leadership, that are encouraging their employees to get these life skills, to have this balance, to pursue passions both within the company and outside. It brings so much back to the organization. But it also has a cost. Mental health issues, well-being, it has a cost on organizations. If people leave for absences, then you have to get temporary people in. You have to recruit new people. And so what this index exposes is a need to really look after the well-being and welfare of employees. And they don't feel that as a community of leaders across the world, and this is 15,000 plus people that we surveyed and interviewed, they don't feel we as leaders in businesses are doing a good job to help them right now.
And it is expensive for companies to train a new employee, to try to cultivate some sense of loyalty. It's not easily done today, is it?
It's not, and the index doesn't go into the actual details behind that. But you're right, Fred. I mean, to employ new people, you have to go do searches. You have to bring them into the organization. There's always a ramp up time. There's a burden on other employees to do that. There's an erosion of culture. In many of this, it comes back to the culture of the organization. You have to assimilate people into that culture. You have to continue to build that culture. Now, bringing new people in, especially diverse, talent, diversity of thought, diversity of people, also creates value to organizations. But if you have a huge, turnover of labor, then that does absolutely impact your costs, but also the culture that you're creating.
Tell me a bit about why HP is looking at this issue and publishing this.
Yeah, sure. Great question. Well, number one, I'd say that, HP's foundation 80 years ago, when we were founded by Bill and Dave Hewlett and Packard, it was a very, very, we started with this philosophy around employees thriving in our organization. A lot of the modern work practices, open door policies, getting employees to really see work as a community, a place to thrive, comes back to their philosophies 80 years ago. So it's sort of dear and near to our heart. The second is, we're a large employer ourselves. We do a lot of employee satisfaction surveys and understand how our people are feeling, so we can use a lot of this internally. But also, we have deep connections with our customers. And although this is way beyond technology, any technology conversation today, starts with people. I mean, if you're using PCs, or if you're using printers, if you're using our new conferencing equipment, webcams, headsets, these are still about people, and they're about people interacting with technology. And so we have a very, very, I think, deep relationship with our customers. We wanted them to show them that that their ability to make their customers, their employees, happy, goes beyond just the tech. And so we want to make sure that our customers thrive as well. And by sharing this index and sharing this knowledge, we feel that we can give them a leg up and the ability to take this research and look at their own organizations and see how they can improve.
Terrific. Where can people go for more information?
I think we're publishing a lot of this on our web. So if you visit hp.com, then there will be links on hp.com to the index itself.
Terrific, and very innovative doing this. Thank you for spending time with us, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. We appreciate the opportunity.